Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Daryl. Welcome back to this Python for Finance series. This is the final output from the Python programs that I'm showing here. And there are plenty of informations and server supports in this graph. Let me go through the details with you so you will have more ideas about the final outcomes and how to build your own algorithmic trading bots. At the top of this image, you can see we are going to have a main candlestick chart. There are two additional technical indicators inside this main chart, including moving average and a Bollinger Bands. Right below it, we have a moving average convergence divergence MACD indicator, which is typically a momentum oscillator primarily used to trade trends. At the bottom, we have another momentum indicator, which is the Relative Strength Index, RSI indicators. This is typically used to evaluate overbought or oversold situations. So adding up all of these, we have some basic technical analysis informations, and we will use these technical indicators to formulate the trading strategies and build our own algorithmic trading bots. Therefore, you can see in the main chart, we will have some buy and sell signals, and triggered by these signals, we will take actions to buy or sell a stock at a particular price. And these buy and sell signals are summarized at the very right-hand side of the graph, and at the top right-hand corners, you can also see that we have the sum for how much we gain, how much we lose for the day trading. And furthermore, we will also evaluate the strategy for the entire past 2 years and calculate how much you gain or lose finally. That is kind of the whole picture for the entire setup. And of course, we will play around with different technical indicator and also the trading strategy. To plot the graph and represent the trading informations, we divide the entire frames into 4 parts. The first 3 parts are represented by 6x6 grids, but of course, for your own applications, you can change it to any other size to better fit your needs. The setup in the codings that I will show you later is like this. We have the main, which is the number 1 subplot, that is our main plot, which contains the candlestick chart, the moving average, the Bollinger Bands, and also the buy and sell signals. And then we are going to have the MACD line and bar chart in the same graph in the part 2. So that is our support 2. We also have the RSI line chart, which is in the support 3. And these summarize the plot that we need. Apart from the grids, which we have the 3 subplots, we also have a record of the intraday trading. And we will save the tradings and show them in the very right-hand side, which is outside the plot. And just like what I mentioned before, we also calculate the daily profit and total profit from the backend test. A very quick recap here. We are going to use the grid spat from the matplotlib to sectionalize the grid. And everything is starting from the top left corner. We have the origins 0, 0 at the top left corner. So if we are doing any indexing or slicing, the first number is in the row and the second number is the column. From the top to bottom row, we have 0 to 5, and then from the left to the most right columns, we have 0 to 5 again. And that is the logic that we will use for adding each of the subplot. This is a very quick summary of what we have. We're going to build 3 plots within the grid and show the trading result right next to the grid. Many of the features that we have here are coming from the setup that we went through in previous videos in this Python for Finance series. Those features will be our backbone for this project. And of course, there will be some new features like the MACD and Bollinger Bands. And in this video, I will focus on building the backbone for this project and apply some features and functions that we covered in previous video. Cool. Let's move on to the Python programming part. First thing first, we are going to import a list of the library, and we are going to import the glue, which is to help us to get the CSV file from a specific folder. And of course, we need to use the OS to provide a path. And we are going to import the pandas and numpys. And specifically, we also would like to use the pandas TA and as a TA. TA stands for technical analysis. And you will find out this is a pretty useful libraries that you do not need to build your own technical indicators. And I will show you later on. And then we are going to import some matplotlib functions, and which will help us to plot the graph and also do some animations. And finally, we need a candlestick all high, low, close functions, which is to help us to plot the candlestick graph. And first of all, I will define some functions that we have used it in previous lesson, so we are not going to repeat ourselves. And this is the figure design. Please feel free to check out my Python for Finance lesson 3. And then the second functions that you would like to check it out is the compute RSI. This is the functions to help us to compute the RSI. Please feel free to check out the Python for Finance number 7. But because there's two ways that we can compute the RSI, either to create the functions by ourselves or use these T8 functions right away. And I will show you how to do that later on with these two different methods. Apart from the RSI part, we also would like to create functions to build the plots for the Bollinger Bands. And later on, I will also show you how to create your own functions to create these Bollinger Bands, or use these TA functions to create these Bollinger Bands. But we will talk about that later on. So just hide these functions at this point. There are 3 more functions that I would like to set up before I create the main part. First of all, I will need a function to help me to compute the profit, the daily profit, and also the total profit. The next functions that I need is to create a backtest functions that allow me to retrieve the dates that I would like to backtest with, and then returns the results or returns the data frame from these backtest dates for me to plot out the data. So in short, these backtest date functions will just help me to retrieve the target state that I would like to have. And then another functions that I would like to have is the strategy functions. And here I just state as a MA strategies. That is the moving strategies. Later on, of course, we can also build a few more strategies. And then I will hide these 3 functions that will not be covered at this point, but we will definitely come across them later on. And now we are ready to build our pot. Remember that there will be 3 pots. The first pot will be our main pot, and then there will be 2 more sub pots. The main pot will contain the candlestick, and then the sub pot will contain the MACD informations as well as the RSI informations. And And for these lessons, I will only go through the main part first, and then later on I will cover the MACD and also RSI support. So these functions here will formulate the backbone for the entire project. A quick summary here. So first of all, we need to have the figure design. That is our dark theme for the entire platform. And then we will have three parts that will contain the candlestick chart and two more additional supports that contains the MACD and also RSI result. And then once we have these plots, we also set up few compute functions to help us to compute the RSI, the Bollinger Bands, and also compute the profits. And then we can set up the backtest to retrieve the backtest state that we would like to have. That is our target state for. And of course, we will just create a loop to for these backtest states so that it will help us to loop through the entire past 2 years. And finally, we will set up some strategies to help us to do the algorithmic trading. And again, for this figure designs, please feel free to go back to my Python for Finance lesson 3. There will be more informations about these functions. And for this compute RSI, please feel free to go back to the Python for Finance number 7 lessons. You will find more details over there. And for this one, I'm not going to introduce at this point as well. Apart from the figure design, you can also go back to the Python for Finance lesson 3 to get more details on how we can possibly to set up the grid. And here I just use the plot.figures to create a figure objects, and then this is to set up the face colors. And finally, I will create a grid, 6x6 grid, and this color is just like a black color. And then you can create 3 different plots for the main plot, for the subplot MACD, and also for the subplot RSI. And just like what I mentioned at the very beginnings, you can use the slicings to create this support for each of the specified locations or the coordinations. But please feel free to get back to the Python for Finance lesson 3 for further informations. There are 2 ways that you can create a loop to backtest for the entire past 2 years. And instead of creating a while loop to do that, I use these def animate functions to create that loop to help me to loop through the entire past 2 years. But at the same time, it will help me to visualize the result. And so after this loop, we will then after this def animate functions or animate loop, I will then use a function animations that is coming from the matplotlib to create the output, and of course show you the result. That is a plot.show. And the whole point for this animation function is that I would like to use the backtest date functions to help me retrieve a particular date from this data pool. And this is the entire 2 years data that we contain. And then once we have this entire, once we retrieve a particular date from this data pool, it will return me that particular date in a data frame. And of course, that data frame will contain the relevant data. And then if it successfully return me some data, that means this data frame is not empty, I will plot the main chart, the MACD, and also the RSI. But again, at this point, I'm not going to build these functions at this point. And then finally, of course, I also need it to help me to compute the profit, and also help me to show the results. Now we just set up the backbone for the entire project. We create all the functions that we need, and also we copy some functions that we previously created. So in the next lessons, what we are going to do is that I will show you how to upload the entire dataset for the past 2 years to this program from the CSV files that we created before. And of course, I will also show you how to create these main charts. So see you in the next video. Bye bye.